This is day 254 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, it would be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. Today we're doing Siman Kuf Ayin Hey, Sif Gimel to Siman Kuf Ayin Hey, Sif Yud. And we're talking about Birchas Tov HaMetim. Rabbis Gimel. Rabbis Sayim Ba'al Shulchan Aruch Lokas U'Rak Das HaTos. V'Zel Shoydim. Well, seed base. Ma'avorim Tov HaMetim V'Al Shnu Yayin. Make a Tov HaMetim in any change of wine. Mina Stam by default. I feel any of the Hashem Mashuach Menarishon, even if you don't know the second one is superior to the first one, Kol Shem the Yeshua grew up in man, so if you don't know that it's inferior to the first one. Peinkluk ben Shteim Chadosh Mechadus said both new, Chadosh Mechad Yashon, or one is old, one is new, and one is old. I feel Shatzim Natosh Mashom, even if you drank of it within the last 30 days. Akan Lashona, Klomar. Meaning, says Oshon, some people say that within 30 days, last time you drank it, and the wine is not precious to you. You should make a bracha at all. Okay, it's not like that. The Asian Shafil shows him taught here. There's one who you drink frequently. People like it. But that portion of the Meir Shuk talking about when it is better than the first one. We don't go according to the opinion of Rabbeinu Tam that even if it's definitely worse, you make the bracha. Going to Rosh, Tafka be'enig adua. Specifically, if you don't know, you're going to assume. We can't came just made a talk shloshim yom. Now that here, since you drank within the last 3 days, Hariyah day is a yainu. You know what wine it is, so therefore here it's different. I shouldn't say not only that, but if you drank it within the past 30 days, then you might know that it's worse than this wine. So it's not stoma anymore. You might know it's better because for sure you make a bracha. But that's why the 30 days is brought down. Okay, so Sav knew that the 30 days is because he would remember what it tastes like. He was going with our assumption nowadays, at least, that old wine is better than new wine. So the default assumption is only when it's lateral. But if you're going up, if you're downgrading for sure, that means going from older to newer. That's no good. You have to say he's talking about here from older to newer. Or obviously, if the new wine is better than the old wine in this case. Mr. Bura says that if you're going from old to new, if you know that the new is equivalent to the old one, you still make a bracha, but that's a big chiddush. Anyway, says Oshon, how would you know that the new one is better? Which means Yosef told me, such as if it's a different variety of grapes than the previous one. The practices of Kasva, he says, the Bush says that the main reason for the bracha is the sheet that we brought down yesterday, that it has to do with the quantity of wine, not the quality of wine. That is astonishing because that's when you're Rabbeinu Tam that holds that even on worse wine you make a bracha. But we paskin like the Taisis Viduk. Now, the Tmiyani Rabba saying, what I'm astonished at the Shulchan is how did they leave out the opinions of the four greats of the world? Rashi, the Rambam, Bubahag, Rashbam. The Bishlama Masha Shishmitu Adasa Benu Tam Rashba. I understand they left out Rabbeinu Tam and Rashba says Shapir makes sense to the Sabbath brachas Haka. Because the Sabbath brachas were lenient. Avaremi Tam Zareel, so the aim of Barchel Yeser Tov. But if that was the case, they should also be consistent and possibly you only make a bracha on the better wine. If it's better wine, like these four greats. At least you should have brought the opinion. Fractions first, I've been saying by Tesla any more banners. So especially because Arukh HaShulchan asked yesterday, I understand why don't you taste it to see if it's better or not? So he says this must be the Pshat Shulchan Aruch. Just like in the rest we say, Sveika L'Kula. We say a double suffix with lenient. So by Rabbanon we say Sveika L'Achmir. If you don't know if it's better than the first one, you say Sveika. Cute. Shema, who told me Rishon made it, it's better than the first one. Because if you say it's not better than the first one, Shema Rabbeinu Tam Rashba, I feel a gurum of Archim. Rabbeinu Tam Rashba, you make a bracha even if it's a downgrade. Like I'm talking about Rosh Gan Kenke Einza. Also like this. And that's why they require you to taste first. The game, that's Rabbeinu Tam Gama Guruma Barchim. Since they know this, the Rabbeinu Tam is even on a worse wine to make the bracha, and we're not required to taste. Even if it's a worse wine, rely on the great opinion of Rabbeinu Tam. Because the simple meaning of Yerushalmi Bach, the Rebbe, Mash McCain. Sounds like that. Even if you go to worse wine, the Rebbe Yerushalmi does not say the Rebbe required you to taste the wine first. If you bring another wine, they make them b'tova meitiv. It's not just that they brought it afresh now. Even they had to begin with the two wines on the table. Seems like they're both on the table. You make nevertheless tova meitiv. If you yain rab yain tov. And Simchim writes that if they brought him poor wine and superior wine to echad as one, you make a bar pergofen immediately on the good one, and exempt the bad one. You should not make on the inferior one first bar pergofen. Or make the bracha afterwards on the second one. You should always make the bracha on the primary, even on the one which is more chaviv, precious to you, liked by you, techila. Meaning, even when you're being out with one bracha, you have to preface the one which is primary and more like by you. Thank you, bracha meko. She's barbasim reishrav. The koshkein pekan, and certainly here the mivarach atov leit tzarich all the bracha. If you makes the bracha on the good one, you won't need another bracha. Mivarach al ra, you tzarich all the bracha. And you're going to make a bracha on the bad one, you're going to need another bracha. Then the ground bracha chinam. We shouldn't cause the bracha to be said for naught. So why? What's meaning to bring you two wines to make on the second one? They're not stuck on the table. I made the bracha, but they brought the second one after the bracha. Mishabur writes that if the second wine was in the house in the time you made the first bracha, and you had a mind to drink it, but they weren't upon you, weren't before the table without the bracha. Disagree if you have to make a tova meitiv, and so bracha salkan, you shouldn't make a tova meitiv. If the second wine was though not from the house, but was in the cellar, the wine cellars, at the time of the bracha, then everybody agrees you have to make a tova meitiv. Vav, b'zeu kavanas Rabbeinu Ramesh Kosav says Rambam wrote to Dafka Shlo in front of you. Yachad, so if they weren't together in front of you, should be a bar priagafen when you made the bar priagafen. You'll be yachad, they would be together in front of you. Ain't so a bar priagafen. You don't only make a bar priagafen. Gamoshi is bar b'siv gimel akan l'shona. The kavanas kavash l'savnu. What he means is like we said. However, igam lezeh ain't on utzuichim. We don't need this anyway. The yeshvah shiyachad b'shas bracha. It could be that they were both at the front of him at the same time. As the way he made the bracha, shimushnei meaning, but there were two types called shachar b'adam, like black and red. Chayotzi b'zeh. Etc. Shnei tovim, they're good, both good. You have to make on one of them bar priagafen. Okay, that's an interesting perspective of Arukh HaShulchan. Those who say make the bracha first on the inferior wine, make a tova meitiv afterwards. The madam is mashis bar b'sim rishval. He wants to say that if you have two things on the table. One is shako, one is bar preich. Should make the shako first, then that being both the eight. That's not a compliment at all, says the Arukh HaShulchan. Also, my bracha kvoy eights. There, the fixed brachas are eights. Mashen kan al shneim, but ha-bracha bar priagafen, so they're not equal brachas. Here, the bracha on both of them is equal bar priagafen. Therefore, you make the bracha on the superior one. You don't know which is superior, which is inferior. You burn something to make the bracha on the first one, the second one, like this in Rosh Paskin. Shabura says that's medina. Nevertheless, if you have a suffix, it's best that first you remove from the table, and then bar priagafen on the other one, and then you should make a tova meitiv on the second one. This is it for all the chashashos. So The Mishnah Berurah seems to say that if the seemed to say previously that if the second one is even in the house, you don't make a tov hametiv. The Shulchan holds even on the table. If there are two different types of wine, you make a tov hametiv. So it's a big difference of opinion. Okay. That which it says that when you bring another wine, you make ha tov hametiv on the second wine. Even though you don't have any more of the first wine. In other words, it goes out saying when you still have some of the first wine left. If you drank already all the first wine, some people actually say don't say tov hametiv because they didn't bring the second one because they want to have a change of pace in the wine. But pragmatically, because there's no more wine in the first bottle. That's what the Ramah says. It's not that way. This is something to talk about if when they had in mind to bring at some point the sheni. The dimlo came if not haritzah but governor ala sheni. Then you're nimlach. You change your mind. You have to make very governor on the second one. Like all other fruit. Basically, it's like we wrote because that's the brackets. According to this, you could say they don't argue. All right, that's too complicated for us for now. The Mishnah Berurah on this says you should make hatov hametiv. I'm sorry, not on this. Never mind. The Mishnah Berurah on this says if taka you're replacing the bottle because you ran out, you don't make hatov hametiv. So we see clearly Arukh HaShulchan is much more into hatov hametiv than the Mishnah Berurah on this, and he says. Anytime you're changing wine, you still make a tov hametiv. Normally we say safek brachos lahakel, but I think if we know for sure that this wine is a better wine, we probably would say Arukh HaShulchan and then make the bracha tov hametiv on the second wine, because that's according to most shitas, that's what you need. According to most shitas, you go to that way, and they don't mention that it has to be wine which was not on the table for the most part. Okay, but again, so one could incline to the Mishnah Berurah, and I think the minhag olam is not to make hatov hametiv that often. Certainly, so I would say certainly, if it's on the table, it's a suffix. If it's off the table, since we don't have cellars in most houses nowadays, so off the table is off the table. When it's brought to the table, they can make hatov hametiv. Ches kasem ma'aril. Yeshom Yishem mevarchim brichas hatov hametiv leil Pesach. On Pesach, don't make hatov hametiv. Shloar bas kosas in order not to have more cups. Akal shono. B'nei vada income and also arba kosas. You can't mean the 4 cups. So it's only bar kol echad bar priyagofen. Anyway, you have to make bar priyagofen each one. They can't because hatov hametiv. There is no room for hatov hametiv, right? Sharatzion says that no, the ma'aril actually means to say hatov hametiv on the kosas. But in any event. My high to come out what do you mean not to have more cups? Ella he's talking about wine within the meal. Should drink as much wine, it doesn't require a bracha. So in this case, you shouldn't say hatov hametiv, even though it's a different bracha, and bar priyagofen, it looks like you're adding on to the cups. Those who say she said those who say in order to eliminate a doubt, bring the same wine you drank previously. But if he brings another type, that case you have no way out of it, because of the halacha and the Gemara to make a tov hametiv, so you must do it. Mr. Berurah says it's best chatchila not to drink another type during the meal, but if he's thirsty and he wants to drink, he can drink it and make a tov hametiv. In this case, Mr. Berurah is more endorsing the tov hametiv. In the brackets, he says this is from the Mogen Abraham. It's because the Muslim answer Baruch Hatov HaMeitiv. What's cool, not clear why it says the Birchas Muslim don't make a Tov HaMeitiv. Amor Birchas HaMazon Ayin Sham, because he says he said in Birchas that's good. When everyone says you don't say Tov HaMeitiv on the wine after Kiddush, after benching, because you said Tov HaMeitiv as one of the brachas of benching. But he says, he says, you don't need them. It's a cute chap, but you don't need it. because anyway, you're making very pregofen because of arbakosos. So we would make a tova metiv anyway. Except according to Mishnah Berurah, it seems so that even in such an instance, you would make a tova metiv. Test. Kasper Rabbeinu Beis Yosef Vidal. The Eil Baruch Tova metiv. L'kein yesh acher imo. You don't make a tova metiv if there's somebody else drinking with you. It has to have conviviality. Because that's the indication of bracha. It's good. It's good for you and doing good to your friend. Your wife and children as well. I'm a yechida law, but if not, he was a solitary individual. The Chayin Adin b'chol ad kan l'shano. The Chayin Adin says that's the halacha b'chol b'yom stov b'meitim. Mosh nichtov b'simun reish chof gimel. V'avagad rigas ha'mazon baruch gam v'aro. I bet you make a tov meitim even you by yourself. Ain't me a tov meitim shebrichas ha'mazon. Mosh g'sam b'sif out. That tov meitim that's a separate issue. The Arukh Beitar. V'ima ba'abayis shotei marech the ba'abayis drinking with the guest. Yvarach ba'abayis lo harech the ba'abayis should make the bracha, not the guest. They shayan shlo because the wine is his. If there are two guests, when the ba'abayis not with them, they should make the bracha tov ha'meitiv. Yesh yishmer those who say the rech in ba'abayis gama ba'abayis lo yivarech. If there's a guest of the ba'abayis, even the ba'abayis should not make the bracha. The other person has to have a portion, not just that it's good for him, but he has a good portion in it. Bishta Avanav came and Shulchan and his wife and children, since they are on his table. They get their support from him. So in this case, the wife and children are better because they have a chelik in this wine. So therefore, they can make the bracha. So to the babos puts a jug of wine on the table that the guest should drink. Says if he gave them the wine, as like theirs, and they make a bracha because they also have a portion that is good in this good wine. Mishnah Berurah says this that Tova Meitiv also only works when they both drank from the new wine. Also, they should sit at the same time in the same place and not one in one room and another in the other room. And the Mishnah Berurah also paskins that, in fact, the reach, if he has no chelik in the wine, such as not a jug on the table, so then there is not Tova Meitiv. Yud Hayim assuming the if they were reclining to drink. One person drinks makes a bracha for all of them. The Rov Hamadras Melech. Everybody being Yotzei is more respect. But they're eating in a meal, sitting in a meal, not drinking, but also eating. As we always say, everybody should make their own bracha to Meitiv. One shot bracha for all of them. We are afraid. Since they're about eating, maybe they're going to put the trachea before the esophagus. Though they say they're going to come to danger and answer a mate. Voting for them, when they eat, one doesn't pay attention to the bracha of his friend. When they're drinking without eating, then they do. Even that there is no formality for drinking, because by begotten and by begotten one should not exempt the other. You come out of a native, but now it's not a native. But there's chavero came which ends the ikar bebirchas hayayin. In other words, it's not on birchas hanenin. Everybody's supposed to make their own birchas hanenin if possible. But it's a native is more birchas hashevach. So there is no reason why you shouldn't have bracha just melech and one person make everybody. Now, Sif Yud Aleph is supposed to be for tomorrow, but it is the last Sif in the Siman. So therefore, we're going to finish it for today. Kasper Rabbeinu says, "See above, yain shtei chavios. We have wine in 2 barrels, but they're both at the same time. If within 40 days of its harvest, so much they put in 2 different vessels. It's like 2 different types. And you make a tov meitiv. After 40 days, so it's ready. Basically fermented. They divide it. And you don't make a bracha on it. So it's all the same type. Arishon explains the Nira Mishun. Then we talk Arba'im Yom within 40 days. The Cholios Kam Mishun Name and can change. The taste can change one for the other, depending on the barrel and other circumstances. But not after 40 days. In Russia, they didn't have so much wine. They mostly had raisin wine because the harvest of the wine was too late for them to make wine every year. But Right, it holds even on 2 types of bread. You make it over made. Of course, saying chokol lebezev raka yain bilvan borchim tam shkosam zav only make a bracha on wine because of the connection to the Tova Meitiv of Arukh Beitar.